Hey everybody, Green Films Official here. Today, I would like to talk about the new Jurassic World movie and why I believe it gets much more hate than it really deserves. I've always loved the Jurassic Park franchise. The first movie is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, and I remember when Jurassic World first came out, I must have been around like 9, and I saw it in the theaters like 2 or 3 times. While not all of these films are absolute masterpieces, when they're at their best, they provide wondrous and amazing moments, and the characters as well are great. Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, Ellie Sattler, hell, even Owen Grady. I think these are great characters. I love them all so much. I think that the first movie is a great example of a film with fantastic and breathtaking spectacle, but also amazing, well-written characters that you genuinely care about. As you can probably guess, I was really looking forward to Dominion, and it came out, I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't without its flaws, but I thought it was pretty entertaining overall. And then I saw the hate, and it kind of surprised me. If you're someone who personally dislikes Dominion, please don't view this video as me saying, "Oh, all of you are meanie heads. Everyone should like Dominion. Why do people hate Dominion? You're wrong if you dislike Dominion." I'm just saying that these are the reasons why I like Dominion. Oh, and just a fair warning, spoilers ahead for this movie and previous entries in the Jurassic franchise. You have been warned. First of all, is the characters, one of my favorite parts of the Jurassic franchise as a whole. They're great. Seeing Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm back was amazing. Their whole plot line evoked some of the feelings of the original Jurassic Park movie, which was really sick. Though I have to say, the interaction that Alan and Ellie have when they first meet in this film was kind of strange. Ellie Sattler, Alan Grant. I don't know, it just seems like a very strange way for two people to greet each other, let alone people who haven't seen each other for decades. I thought it would be more like,
How did you where did you come from? This is cool. It's great to see you.
I get that they're older now, but I don't know, I thought they would be, like, happier to see each other again. I don't really need to talk that much about Owen and Claire, because they're basically just how they were in the previous movies. But they were cool too. Maisie was pretty great in this film. She had a pretty interesting plot line about not feeling like her own person because she's the clone of John Hammond's business partner's daughter. I thought that was pretty interesting. I still think the clone plot line is strange and weird, and I don't understand why the series decided to go this way. But if this is really what the Jurassic series wants to do, then I think this is the best way to go about it. This film introduces a new character named Kayla Watts, who is seriously cool and badass. She had this, like, no-nonsense attitude to her, and she was just really entertaining to watch, and I wish she was introduced earlier in the series. It also helps that she was introduced in a really cool subplot, which was basically like Jason Bourne meets dinosaurs. Also, Ian Malcolm was as great as ever. He was super funny and entertaining. And is it just me, or did he have the same mood throughout the entire film, no matter what the situation was? It was great. So yeah, those were our protagonists. I thought they were great. I know I didn't talk about them too much, but I feel like I don't really need to, because they're just their great selves from the previous movies. As I said at the start of this video, I really like these characters, and it was great seeing them again on the big screen. A plotline that I know people weren't too fond of is the giant locusts made by Biosyn. A lot of people thought it was strange to have locusts be the biggest threat in a film about dinosaurs, but honestly, I didn't really mind it that much. You see, I don't know, I thought it was a reasonable plan for the villains to have giant locusts that destroy all crops that aren't made by Biosyn, and also it matches with the franchise's theme of genetic tampering, so it didn't really bother me that much. There was still plenty of dinosaur action, so it's not like they took away from anything. Speaking of the dinosaurs, I loved how we got to see the dinosaurs out in the open world. I know we got to see something similar as the climax of the Lost World Jurassic Park, but I don't know, that wasn't to this scale. I know that people take issue with the ending of this film, where the dinosaurs are allowed to live amongst us, because, you know, the message of the previous film was, oh, remaking dinosaurs is a terrible idea. They're supposed to live in the past, where in the present it wouldn't work. And while I understand where these people are coming from, I chose to interpret it as, well, we shouldn't have made these creatures alive again, but now that they are alive again, they're our responsibility and we have to look after them. It was sort of like, you know, humanity atoning for their mistakes. So I do get why people have that criticism, but I didn't really bother me. Let's talk Lewis Dodgson, the main antagonist. Most people didn't really care for his return because he's only really remembered as the guy who gave Nedry the cream in the first movie. However, I kind of liked the idea of him returning as the villain for this film, because if you've read the novels by Michael Crichton, then you would know that he's actually a pretty major deal in those books. However, Dodgson wasn't really all that cool or impressive in this film. He wasn't, like, bad, but there was nothing really that interesting or engaging about him. He was just sort of businessman villain. He had potential early on, but he kind of shows up less and less, and then he just sort of dies with like 10 minutes to go. I feel like he was a wasted opportunity, and they could have done so much more with him. Also, while I get that his death is supposed to be a callback, I think it's far too derivative of the way Nedry died in the first film. I wish we got something more creative instead of just something we've seen before. Also, the shaving cream appears in this film briefly, and I don't think its inclusion makes much sense. Pretty sure it was just thrown in there just as a callback. I don't know, call me a nitpicker, but I just don't really think it needed to appear just so the audience could go, oh, I know what that is. I know they recover it in that Netflix cartoon spin-off show, but still. I also think Henry Wu's redemption arc could have been handled a bit better. I really like Henry Wu as a character, and I think a redemption arc for him is a really good idea, but I think it needed more screen time and should have been hinted towards in previous installments. Still though, I'm glad it happened. This is a very impressive film visually. There were so many shots that looked absolutely beautiful, and I can imagine using them as like a wallpaper for my laptop. I think that the shot where Claire is hiding from the Freddy Krueger looking dinosaur was particularly creative. Speaking of the Therizinosaurus, I thought it was a pretty cool dinosaur and a nice choice for this movie. I can't say I've heard of it before this movie, but I'm glad that it was in there. The Gigantosaurus was really cool and intimidating, and for the limited screen time it had, it was really cool to watch. The comparisons that director Colin Trevorrow made to the Joker were, well, they were bizarre to say the least, but whatever, I can look past them. While it is a flawed experience, Jurassic World Dominion is great fun, at least it was for me. I can sort of see why someone would dislike this film, but I just personally really enjoyed it, and I had a big smile on my face throughout most of it. It brought back characters who I've loved for years in ways that felt respectful to the originals. It had breathtaking action scenes and visuals. The dinosaurs were amazing. And, I don't know, I had fun watching this movie. And nothing anyone says is going to take that from me. It had really cool ideas, and while it didn't go all the way with them, I still think that the fact that this film raised those ideas is something to be commended. This is a film that's much better than people give it credit for, and if you're a Jurassic fan and you've been putting this film off because of the negative reviews, I'd say still go check it out. I think there's still a great chance you'll greatly enjoy it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my little defense of Jurassic World Dominion. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps out. And yeah, good night, and don't let the dinosaurs bite.